I guess it's a Ukrainian developer, which, you know, Taylor, I stand with Ukraine.
I'll stand with them if the game's good.
Will you? Is that what is that what would do it?
Well, not stand with supporting their silly war.
Oh, well, God damn it, Taylor.
But I'll support that game developer if it's a fun game.
It's really Russia's silly
and that sucks. I wish him the best over there. Wish him the best. Prayers up, Ukraine. But money gone.
Prayers out of you. Don't be cheap, Taylor.
I'll fire a few prayers over there. Rapid fire. Some long range ballistic prayers straight over to Ukraine. But
I bet Donald Trump finds in his heart to get behind Ukraine. He could appreciate a scrappy underdog.
That is wish casting. He's been very clear.
That is not going to happen.
Yeah,
he's going back on his lowering grocery prices thing now.
Oh, those people over at Time and you leftists latching on to a quick story. I see how you are. All he said was, it's kind of hard to make the prices go back down. Like, what do you mean make the prices go back down? I never promised every week for the last 3 years I'd make the prices go back down. I said I'd make inflation go back down, and clearly you misheard me 8,000 times. Well, sir, it says right here the prices will go down. And
there's video of you saying it. It's a lookalike.
You have a giant finger pointing down, sir.
I don't know. Looks like a deep fake.
And your other hand is a turkey.
Be a huge deep fake.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, and that is kind of common sense too. That like once inflation has happened, like you can get inflation under control, but like can't go back. Like the genie's out of the box. That's why you watch a Western sometimes, and somebody pulls out a $20 gold piece, and everybody loses their fucking mind. Like $20 was a lot of money, you know. Like, and it's never going to be again.
Yeah. That is cool.
And I know theoretically you don't even want deflation. Deflation destroys your economy because it incentivizes people not to spend money knowing that it'll be cheaper next week. And so they don't. And then it does get cheaper. And then you get this deflationary spiral, which destroys things. So intellectually, I know that you don't even want prices to go down. But I still can't help but hear this guy who promised prices would go down his entire campaign renege on it renege or renege?
What does that make him?
Renege on it,
my friend.
Yeah.
He reneges on it before he even takes office. It's like,
yeah, it's easier to make wages go up.
Not telling the truth
than prices go down.
Well, no one hates a renege.
Actually, I'm pretty sure a lot of fellers in the South do.
I think he'll. I don't think he'll renege. I think that he'll do his best.
You can't even say it.
I think he'll do his best to not renege and be a person who reneges.
It's renege, right?
It's an E. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard it. Dude, we've had this conversation before, and we went so far as to do that thing where you get Google to say the word for you, and she's like, renege. And then it's like, I'm right.
Literally, I think both pronunciations are like people know what you're saying, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it's spelled with an E.
But
I'm on vocabulary.com, and to me, she clearly says renege. I don't know. I thought I said it wrong. I thought I said a really bad thing.
No, jump on board with us. Jump on board with us. I think he's going to try to do some price control things. I hope they do some like weird, we've never seen this sort of thing before, price control things. One of the things that I thought was interesting is you hear RFK talk about the dyes and various ingredients that our products and services have that our products have that they don't have in Europe and Canada, for example. And suddenly it's become like a Democratic talking point to be like, what's the problem with dyes? Y'all don't like Red 5? And literally, I swear to God, I wish the FDA this week goes, you know what? Red 5 does look kind of shitty, but we're taking the Red 5 out. And it's like, are you serious? Like you've been sitting on Red. I don't think you'd be taking Red 5 out if Donald Trump had won the presidency. And that's worrying to me because your job is taking Red 5 out of things. Like that's your whole fucking job.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'd have done it if the guy who's going to sick that crazed Kennedy with the brain worm on you didn't win.
Their job is to manage studies funded by the companies that ignore those products
and ignore the ones that go against their ideology.
That's not supposed to be their job. So
it is their job, though.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on this story, but if that's all true, that's terrible. And I don't like the Democrats for what they're doing and saying.
I think it's red 5.
It's such a losing thing. Like, why?
Oh yeah.
Why do you need to? Because I've seen what Kyle's talking about, where someone's like, "Hey, maybe all these artificial dyes and like using heavily processed, oil instead of like animal fats. Like maybe this would be a better move." And then like almost instinctively, a lot of people on the left are like, I'm going to go buy 10 Mountain Dew Code Reds and drink a whole bottle of Crisco. And it's like, well, maybe pick a better fight.
All right, hang on.
Everyone should be allied on the food being good.
Yeah, I didn't know we'd lose Code Red. Are you serious?
What else is making it Code Red?
Dude, have you ever had a Code Red? Let me just say this. I don't drink a lot of full sugar soda. Like every now and then I'll get one of those cherry things that Woody's so partial to. I like
What'd you call it? Cold fingers soda? I didn't hear your word.
Full sugar soda.
Full sugar. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But Mountain Dew Code Red. I had a coworker when I sold cars, Ken Burton. Coincidence, the name. Ken drank those things every day. Like multiple. It's all it was his sole source of hydration was Mountain Dew Code Red.
Was he fat?
And yeah, but not obese. Yeah, he was obese. But he could sell a car.
He was fat, but not the kind of fat you rarely see.
He was Kevin James fat. He could get himself a Burt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Wait, get himself what?
A Burt. Remember Burt's one of his.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Mountain Dew Code Red's a delicious fucking soda. It's cherry Mountain Dew. It's delicious.
It does sound good.
Yeah, they're getting rid of Red 3. Apparently, brand new post-election information says it's caused cancer. Definitely not something they've been sitting on, like Johnson & Johnson putting.
Leave it to Taylor to be anti-cancer.
All right, let's talk about
the anti-cancer. Yeah, was it Johnson & Johnson that made the baby powder for like 65 years that had trace amounts, like a damaging amount of arsenic in it, and
asbestos?
Asbestos. They just didn't give a fuck because
ladies had been sprinkling their pussies with asbestos for generations, giving themselves cervical cancer, and and we didn't find out about it until like 5 years ago or something. Because the talcum, I think it's the talcum, or the talc rather, that they make the talcum powder out of. That's in the baby powder. Comes from, I think talc is like a soft mineral, like a soft stone that you mine from the ground, like chalk. And I think alongside it, asbestos coexists because it's also a mineral.
And they didn't have an easy way to remove the asbestos from the talc, I guess.
Who knows? Or maybe it's like they delve too deeply, like those greedy dwarves, into the asbestos-rich talc deposits or something like that. But anyway, it gave women cancer for generations, and they didn't find about anyone.
Really, it would be like, oh shit! Here at J&J, we have a real conversation with the board. We found a lot of asbestos. Oh, fuck! Who's the head of the FDA right now? Oh, it's Jared. Oh, he's another guy in the revolving door of high-level board positions between these firms and the government regulatory agencies. Oh, never mind. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Jared's not going to hammer us. Well, who's up? But who's up after Jared? Oh, well, it'll be one of us. But who's up after that? One of our proteges. How long will this continue? Probably 70 years.
There was a huge class action lawsuit. A gigantic settlement was ordered, but then I think it may have been reduced later on and maybe partially paid out. There was some kerfuffle about whether the whole thing was going to get paid or whether it was going to reduce, because it was like hundreds of millions, maybe. It's been a few years ago now, but that's a perfect example of why you need some regulation. I remember there's that clip. I think they're at the Libertarian National Convention, and they're trying to pick a candidate for their party, one who can actually make a dent. And this one guy's like, they asked, what about driver's licenses? And he's like, well, I think there should be some qualification before you operate a motor vehicle. And you just hear, boo! And the guy's just like, all right, be sixth again, assholes. Be so far behind Jill Stein, nobody even bothers to count.
Just get owned again. There is no one who's a bigger fan of the Libertarian Party than their political opponents.
Yeah, I like them. Look, I like libertarian ideals, but when in principle, every now and then we got to make some exceptions here. Like we should have driver's license before we drive down the fucking road.
Think it through. Like you probably would have a hard time naming just one wildly successful libertarian civilization because there's so many historically to look at. Right?
I mean, the Mongols.
To a libertarian talk about the EPA, right? He's like, we get rid of it. And they're like, well, won't coal companies just dump soot, cancer-causing soot all over the communities nearby? He's like, no, because those communities would sue them and that would prevent it from happening. That's the libertarian thought process. And I'm like, what? You want me to sue Duke Energy? Woody? Like against Duke Energy? This is your plan? Yeah. I need the government on my side. And that's the kind of thing where it falls apart. How do roads work? Oh, they're all toll roads, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. Like the idea that it should be on, like there should be no safeguard for communities at all is like what they should be battling is like ridiculous oversight where it's like, hey, the EPA is like basically charging a weird racket here and asking us to fund $20 million studies before they approve us to put this pipe in the middle of the wilderness, you know, and we gave them the environmental studies, but then they said, oh no, those aren't from our favorite institution. Give it to one of our associate institutions to do that stuff. Like, get rid of silly nonsense, but you do need an organization that's, or at least, you know, a role in an organization that's like, don't pollute the rivers. We don't want to turn into Bangladesh or India.
Did you see Donald Trump speaking today at the stock exchange?
I did not. Election already happened. I don't have to pay attention.
I just saw still pictures.
So he won Time Person of the Year for the second time, only president to win it twice. And he was sort of gloating over that a bit, having a good time with it. And the other potentials would be a fun guessing game for you to try to think who the other. I can think of two of them. I can't think of the third. I didn't know their name.
Wait, of presidents?
No. Of people up for Person of the Year this year. Oh, well, there may have been. I know that Kamala was considered, and also
Musk,
Elon,
and Musk, and Joe Rogan.
Yes, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Harris, Joe Rogan,
and
Elon,
Trump obviously won out. But he was talking about regulation, and I don't know the specifics of it, and I don't think he does either. But he was saying something about if you're bringing $1 billion to invest into the country, that they would just sort of. You know that video of the guy outside the stadium, and he's patting people down for weapons.
Yeah,
just doing it like a Jedi.
Yeah,
like he sort of intimated that that's how the regulation process would be for you if you were bringing $1 billion into the economy. And he made a little quick quip, a little joke. He's like, "What do we think for a new nuclear reactor? A week enough time to figure it out? Yeah, don't misquote me. Don't say that.
Yeah, I see what he's going for there. I just wish there was some in between that made sense, right? Like Google Fiber. Do you guys remember everyone was so excited about Google Fiber?
Yes,
going to replace all Comcast and Time Warner and stuff. It kind of didn't, and it's because it is practically illegal to install cables everywhere throughout the city. And as hard as even a company like Google tried, the regulations were the things that stopped them so hard. Elon Musk wants to do like tunnels and shit like that. And he's like, it's practically illegal to do infrastructure projects in America. Now, I imagine Elon doesn't have a lot of patience for like infrastructure projects. It's not his strength. But I also think he's onto something. So if they do, I'm sorry, I'll wrap it up real quick. If they do push aside some of that challenge, I'm for it. But I don't know that we need to push aside all of the challenge and have new nuclear plants popping up in a week.
I do. I want lots of nuclear plants. I want them on the horizon everywhere you look in this country.
The most expensive form of energy.
Out there in cornfield land.
Because the regulation so regulated out of like being doable.
Yeah, we got the mad
energy companies more than I do. I mean, here in my area, Duke Energy polluted people and gave them cancer. Like that's not a theoretical thing.
Yeah, and that's why you do need oversight. But like once it's up and running,
sulfur ash in the water system.
Ooh,
nuclear. Once it's up and running, nuclear is by far the most sustainable form of energy with the lowest pollutants. Like once it's the reason that it's more expensive than solar is because there's a zillion subsidies for solar farms and energy, and nuclear is pushed to the side. My little pet conspiracy is that these organizations make a lot more money with boondoggles like wind than they would by solving the issue permanently with nuclear. Like it's the same reason, like if you find a company that makes money by servicing homeless people, they don't want a solution to homelessness. Their business is done. The people making wind farms in Kansas, are terrified of nuclear being easily available to people because no one's going to take this bullshit eyesore energy that is inconsistent over nuclear. Like it is so clearly the future. Like it's nuclear power. We figured it out, boys. We've done it. We did it. We did something that would be wizardry to anyone before 100 years ago, and we don't take advantage of it.
Fusion is what they need to figure out. If they ever figure out fusion energy, then we've got safe, infinite energy. It's always 40 years away or whatever they say. That's sort of the joke, that it's just never going to happen and never going to work the way
There'll
they
be
want it
Chernobyl from time to time, but can you imagine if let's say we're all cavemen. Kyle discovers fire. He accidentally burns he and his family to death in his cave. Do we go, "Oh, Woody, we must avoid danger fire forever. It is too strong"? Or do we
it's actually
go?
A powerful argument. Like it sounds funny and simple, but like, yeah, I mean, I hear you. I just feel like we're all unqualified to choose which. I don't know why. That's absolutely this particular thing where we're unqualified. I draw objection to, but we're perfectly qualified for every other subject. But yeah, there's something about wind and solar that seems so simple to me. Like it literally is just energy pushing around, tidal energy. Like the tidal is very clean and very predictable. And I don't know why that's not better.
I agree. The tidal thing it's never made sense to me. Even the idea of just a buoy that goes up and down with the tide, just that one pull, like has to create some free energy. Like isn't it just a float tied to a thing and you lift it and we make a little electricity?
Exactly. And there's even a better one. Like say you have an island and behind it is a bay. Well, the ocean rises up. So all that, like I'm making up numbers, billions of gallons, a trillion gallons, I don't know, is rushing from the ocean to the bay. And then 6 hours later, it rushes in the other direction. And it does this 4 times a day, always and forever. Unlimited. It will never stop. And I'm like, why is this not a better I understand
the
mechanical things in the salt water are kind of hard to maintain, but I'm like, this is a very predictable thing, and water pushing stuff around is very powerful. Why is this not part of, and people live by the water a lot. Now I know Taylor doesn't, but I mean actually Taylor does. He's in this by the freaking river.
Yeah, that's right.
But a lot of people on this planet live not far from water, and it just seems like something that has more potential than we're talking about.
Hydroelectric is so cool. The dams. I like.
Oh, that. I mean, we've got Hartwell Dam here. That's really cool.
It is cool.
I've walked around it and driven around it a bunch of times, and you can go fishing down at the outlet or whatever where it comes out at the end.
I should take you flying over it. Get a tandem wing up there.
I'm surprised they don't shoot you down over that. We got a bogey over here flying over the damn dogs. Yeah, hydroelectric's great too, but I'm with you when we've got those magical rocks that just make energy. There's evidence that in the past there was a naturally occurring nuclear reactor, essentially because of the nuclear material, the fissile material just under the ground was stacked together in such a way to create a nuclear reaction.
Where?
I don't remember where.
Oh, like people utilized it, or they're just theorizing that this was. Oh,
no, it's a thing that happened inside the ground.
That's pretty cool.